Well, it may look a little unusual to see a pine tree in the greenhouse, but the cold, wet weather has forced it in today. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a tradition that a lot of people are starting, and that's one of using a living Christmas tree. Well, all that is using a tree that has been either balled and burlapped or grown in a container and bringing that inside and decorating it for Christmas. Well, there are a few considerations to think of when you do this. And the first thing is to get a tree that's adapted to your area, because you're going to be planting it outside. What I've got today is an Austrian pine, and it is adapted to this area. So it'll be okay to plant out in our landscape. The next thing that you need to consider is acclimating that tree to the indoors. So once you go and you purchase this tree, you need to put it either up on the porch, out of the wind, or in the garage for about 4 days to get that acclimated to being inside. Now once it's inside, you need to consider where you're going to place that. You want to put it someplace where it's not close to a heat source like the fireplace or a heater vent, because that will actually bring the tree out of dormancy. The other thing that you need to consider, and this is very important, is that this tree is a living thing, and so it is actually using water in the house, and it's using quite a bit because it's waking up out of dormancy. So you need to water that tree. You can either put 2 to 3 quarts of water down the edge of the tree here at the root ball, and you have to do this slowly or it'll all slide off the top. Or another way to do this is to take a tray of ice cubes and just empty that out and spread that out over the top of the root ball. Now our tree is in a container. If you get a balled and burlap tree, you need to put it in some kind of a container or wrap that ball in some plastic so it'll keep the water from going out the bottom and ruining your floor. But that's just a real important consideration for these living trees to keep them looking good. Now the other thing to remember is that you're not going to be able to keep this tree inside as long as you would a cut tree or an artificial tree. The maximum amount of time is 10 to, at the most, 2 weeks that you can have this tree in your house. After that it'll start going downhill, and it probably won't survive once you put it outside. Now after Christmas is over, another important step is to reacclimate this tree to the outdoors, and you do that by again putting it in the garage for 4 to 5 days or out on the front porch out of the wind. And if you're going to put this out on the porch where it might freeze, you're going to want to insulate the root ball so that the roots don't freeze. Now while you're doing this, you do want to remember to water this. Even though it's not in the house, it's still using water, so keep watering it. And once it's acclimated, if the ground isn't frozen, you can plant this outside and just select a location, plant it, water it in, and remember to mulch it to keep the roots from freezing this winter. Well, a living Christmas tree may not be the thing for everyone, but you might want a fresh cut tree. Well, believe it or not, there are Christmas tree growers here in Oklahoma, and your local county extension office has a list of all these locations. Now, a lot of these growers have trees that you can choose and ball and burlap for a living tree, or you can choose and cut a tree and take it home for Christmas. And this is a great way to get a fresh tree. Well, a living Christmas tree is a great way to start a tradition for Christmases to come and also have a great part of your landscape.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. You can also find more recent videos on our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.